The peaceful skeleton realm, a relic of years past. Once it was attacked by helicopters, but this time it's World of Tanks. The skeleton realm has no chance against this free-to-play and to-win game, and I'm okay with that because they've kindly sponsored this video. With massive multiplayer battles, over 550 historically accurate tanks to control, and gameplay that rewards skill, I've been won over. F*** the skeleton realm. Join me and head to the link in the description to install World of Tanks using the code TANKMANIA. New players get the T127 Premium Tank, 7 days Premium Access, and 500 gold. Rejoice in the fall of the skeleton realm and click the link in the description below. And thanks to Wargaming for sponsoring this video. Alright, ad time over, let's start. Internet challenges are a fickle beast. They can do a lot of good for the world, but they can also harm. However, more often than not, the danger of the latest internet challenge is blown way out of proportion, with articles claiming everyone is doing it for the sake of generating outrage. It's easy to breed worry about children eating Tide Pods, or breaking backs over milk crates, or destroying entire school bathrooms in the form of devious licks, thus perpetuating the awareness and longevity of each of these activities. However, in most cases, challenges are often completely fabricated in terms of how likely to kill they actually are, as teenagers are less likely to blindly follow others than you might think. In order to understand why people do these so-called challenges and why they're so popular, we first have to define the act. After all, this is something more or less specific to internet culture, and as a result it has its own specific rules. Whilst it doesn't seem to possess any standard definition, Wikipedia describes an internet challenge as recording an action and daring others to repeat it. However, this definition is fairly inaccurate and outdated, as there is often no need to dare others to copy an action once it is uploaded and shared with millions. The Milk Crate Challenge was only named as such because it took on the functionality and structure of an internet challenge. Originally, it was only called the Milk Crate Game. Devious licks are another fantastic example. Often it's described as a challenge, but it more so takes on the form of a trend. Broken bones and stolen soap dispensers aside, challenges have the power to change society, actually improving the lives of others. This is why it's important to understand how they're presented in media and why internet challenge became such a massive buzzword over time. Almost every challenge has been recorded as dangerous by the media, as a wacky new ploy that obviously inferior newer generations are killing themselves with. This results in what can be described as a moral panic, a widespread irrational fear often boosted by social media, wherein an echo chamber takes everything to the worst case scenario. Despite the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge raising $250 million for charity and research in only 8 weeks, it too was often demonized online. It taps into the fear surrounding new technology, a fear of the unknown and the inability to understand new culture. If you take a look at any of the articles online attempting to define challenges, they'll often reference outdated social media spaces such as Blogspot or Google+ as key contributors to promoting trends. Often, this will be accompanied by obligatory news bulletins screaming about the end of the youth today because they're too stupid to not kill themselves following all the other teens. Of course, there is some merit in assuming kids are doing something simply because other kids are doing it. That's a well-documented social phenomenon, but sometimes this fact is taken advantage of and sensationalized just for more outrage and views. The classic line, "if it bleeds, it leads," is somewhat responsible for the negative perception the world tends to hold against challenges, as it's true that showing evidence of people being harmed by these acts sells far better than reports of them being safe. Teenagers and kids tend to be one of the most vulnerable groups in society. Aside from social media, they're written off to the side as unable to defend themselves or have a voice, considering the institutions that sell the biggest stories are often staffed by older people. Hence, it's easy to demote them as willing to follow anything when quite often it's not everyone who is taking part. It's just a select few that get a lot of attention. This animosity towards teenagers can be proven simply by Googling any of the biggest challenges to exist in the past 2 decades, and it's clear they're often deemed responsible for causing harm. So let's take a look at the challenge timeline and how each of the biggest internet fads have been treated to a moral panic. It could be argued the longest running internet challenge is that of the Cinnamon Challenge, which was first documented online in 2001. It is found to be dangerous as it fills lungs with clogging dust when breathed in. Then, planking took the world by storm from 2010 to 2011, and whilst it was a simple act of pretending to be a wooden plank, it was also deemed incredibly dangerous as people fell off of buildings at great heights. You wouldn't think the Harlem Shake from 2013 was dangerous, considering it was just a bunch of people dancing, but college students did it on a plane, allegedly warranting an investigation from the feds. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge that swept 2014 was probably the most socially responsible challenge, raising awareness for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and earning up to $250 million for research and charities in just 8 weeks. Of course, it was then discovered that the challenge was deadly and can kill, according to Forbes. Then, the Great Bottle Flip Mania of 2016 was banned by some schools over safety fears, which of course was reported widely on. The Tide Pod Challenge of 2018 is perhaps one of the biggest trends people talk about when it comes to the internet. It started off as an ironic joke, with memes about them being a forbidden snack exploding in 2017, leading to articles about them being eaten, fabricated, and misrepresenting it as a deadly new challenge. People pretended to eat them by biting into them or putting them on pizza, but it got so blown out of proportion by the media that it caused a moral panic and is still commonly referenced today. While some were allegedly hospitalized as they ingested laundry detergent, perhaps by accident, no one actually died. Hot off the heels of Tide Pods was the condom snorting challenge, which never actually happened yet was utilized as an example of teenage stupidity. The milk crate challenge of August and July this year elicited a ton of warnings from doctors after they were approached by journalists, but there were few, if any, records of direct hospitalization. However, the biggest and arguably most destructive trend to hit 2021 is that of the devious lick. Whilst not labelled a challenge per se, there are certainly instances of the media describing it as such. It has actually destroyed entire school bathrooms and has become one of the most popular trends to sweep the internet given its immediately violent and visceral nature, although it has seen students basically incriminating themselves after being recorded stealing school property. That said, it should be interesting to see if it goes much further, as at this time of publication, it's still quite a big deal. However, this is again being conducted by a small minority. It would appear most students wanted to stop or are not participating, but these are not going to be the stories we hear about, as it is much more exciting to report on the woes of humanity. Clearly, the moral panic surrounding internet challenges will hardly go away anytime soon. As long as they can generate outrage and clickbait, tabloid news organizations will be more than happy to run stories on them claiming the newest generation is doomed to eternal stupidity. It boils down to the phone bad arguments boomers have been trotting out for half a century, parasitically seeking to eke out attention in the form of audience anger, disregarding the fact that the information it pushes to the forefront is misleading and often just plain wrong. Unfortunately, even though very little people are actually hurt because of these challenges, the minority who are will inevitably become the focus of every organisation claiming they're reporting the facts in the interest of the children. The children, of course, conveniently being unable to voice the real story themselves, except perhaps in the form of being angry about devious licks, which may point toward larger solidarity and truth in the future. What meme would you guys like me to give a lesson in next? Let me know in the comments below.
And remember, like and subscribe!